Ancient wisdom for modern times. Chapter 2. Dharma. When the Buddha attained enlightenment, he called his insight the Dharma, the middle way, which leads between poles of opposites to nirvana, the place beyond which embraces all dualities. Duality means pair of opposites. For every up, there is a down. For every left, a right. Cold cannot exist except in comparison to heat. Joy without the contrast of sorrow. Now, one half of every pair of opposites is uncomfortable. The natural human tendency is to identify with that which is good, comfortable, or otherwise desirable. The Buddha saw that this was impossible. Unless both poles of opposites are embraced, one cannot be content because both poles are real and make up the fabric of life. To remain insulated from one pole or the other is to live in denial. What the Buddha came to understand is a profound psychological truth that has become a part of every culture on earth. It is so common that we forget that Siddhartha was the first to put it into words, to frame it in a way that easily transcends culture and language. He condensed his insight into what are called the Four Noble Truths. Number 1, all life is suffering. The Buddha did not consider life to be a miserable experience. Rather, he came to understand that even in the very best of times, the most joyous moment is spoiled by the thought that it cannot last. Every life will come to an end. Everything is in the process of either growing or dying. At the first moment of birth, we begin our journey toward death. That cannot be escaped. It is the central truth of existence. It might even be said that the fear of death is the most prevalent motivating force of life. When we are threatened or even mortified, we mock death by saying, "Oh, I thought I was going to die." And after a moment of great pleasure or accomplishment, we say, "Well, now I can die happy." An entire insurance industry has grown up to offer the perplexing duality of protecting your loved ones so you don't have to worry about death's final call. People have even been known to select the final resting place for their earthly remains based on a good view. Fear of death is normal. It is a healthy emotion if it causes us to move back from the edge of a cliff. Whatever our reaction, what at least appears to us as death and ending is real, and there is no mistaking it. Although people often recoil from thoughts of death, insisting that the best is yet to come, or you're only as old as you feel, the suggestion that death is to be ignored simply because there is still life to live causes us to live that life in denial. And a life of denial leads to futile attempts, even if some of those attempts may be valuable and healthy ones, to hold on to life. It is impossible. The Buddha, for instance, would never discourage jogging, joining an exercise club, or pursuing a healthy diet, but he would insist that these activities, although leading to a productive life, are unhealthy if, by pursuing them, people fall under the illusion that they are postponing the inevitability of death. Well, the healthiest person alive will someday die. That may be sad, but it is a truth in which we can absolutely trust. Hence, all life is suffering. Acceptance of the reality of life's end is not necessarily tragic, however. Death is a part of life. Perhaps its existence even spices up the good times a bit. Well, what causes suffering? Is it simply the knowledge that good times don't last forever? No. Siddhartha determined it was something more than that. Number 2, suffering is caused by desire. We want what we cannot have. We desire something because we believe it will bring happiness or release from sorrow. We attempt to hold on to joyous moments, trying to make them last forever. We gather things around us to protect ourselves from suffering. So life becomes a matter of accumulating and desiring more of those things. A bigger house, a more suitable mate, better clothes, a more comfortable car, a higher paying job that will provide more money to buy more things. Stuff equals happiness. Anyone who visits a modern storage facility soon understands the fulfillment of the Buddha's prophetic vision. We buy so much stuff, we must pay money to keep it someplace in a storage facility. Where's the happiness? But still we desire more. To make matters worse, desire has a cousin named expectation. We expect the world to act in a certain way. We expect to be happy. We expect people to act the way we want them to act, to like the things we like, to behave the way we desire them to behave. Well, the Buddha came to realize that desire and expectations were the weak points in illusion's presentation. He had discovered the point of attack. This is where Buddhism becomes positive. Number 3, there can be an end to desire. Suffering is like fire. It needs fuel. Remove the fuel and the fire goes out. Desire is the fuel that feeds suffering. If a person can stop desiring, he or she can stop suffering. It's as simple and as difficult as that. Many Buddhists teach that people consist of 5 skandhas. The word means bundle. Rather than consisting of a soul stuck in a body, people are formed of various layers, blending to produce a whole. The skandhas are, number 1, form, or outward appearance. Number 2, feelings, inward emotions. Number 3, perceptions. That's how we visualize what we feel. Number 4, impulses, karmic dispositions, the forces that propel life forward toward a goal. And number 5, background consciousness, that from which we spring and to which we return. To see how these things work together, consider, as an example, an inner conversation before buying a new car. Well, that's a nice car. You see, the form of the car pleases us. I want that car. We experience an inward emotion of desire. I can just see myself driving down the street. Imagine the stares of approval I'd get. We visualize what we will feel. I deserve that car. It was meant for me. We believe karma or fate brought us to this place in time. I was born to have a car like that. We come to believe our purchase is somehow eternally predestined. See how it works? Form stimulates feelings, which form perceptions, provoking impulses, informing consciousness. The problem is that we get stuck on the word I. I want, I feel, I visualize. But who is this I? I is obviously the villain of the piece, because it is this I who is setting in progress the chain of desires that lead to suffering. By saying I, we demonstrate that we feel as though we are somehow separate from the process that is working itself out in our life. If I desire something, then the I who desires must be an entity separate from the desire itself. Thus, the Buddha discovered human ego. He understood that to say I is to misread our sensory data. The I who sees and perceives is simply a phenomenon. It is an illusion. It does not really exist. It is a word expressing the way we perceive that which is, in fact, the bundle of parts that make up our whole. Well, how then does a person stop desiring? How can we free ourselves from unrealistic expectations? How can we control such a basic human tendency? The path is difficult and fraught with irony. But the Buddha's fourth noble truth offers his spiritual roadmap.